around this morning. It's awesome. Beautiful Monday morning. If you love familiar faces, how many people are, this is their first time in 40 plus? 4, 5, 6. You're not sure. Well, welcome. For those who are new to 40 plus, but I'm going to give you the 30-second introduction. 40 plus is an all-volunteer, what I call a self-help organization, but we are dedicated to helping mid-career professionals make successful transitions for whatever reason they need to make career transitions. We run 3 major programs. One is this Monday morning speaker series, virtually every Monday. During the year, we have a meeting at 10 o'clock, free and open to the public, usually on a topic of interest to job seekers. Once a month, we have an evening session. It's more of a networking session, refreshment, and again, a speaker, often on a topic of interest to job seekers, but also more general topics of interest to people in their careers, because we're trying to get some people who are in jobs, and we talk about items of interest in how to manage your career as well. And then finally, our main program is our training class. We have a new one starting today. We have members from previous classes here. Laura and Gina was in the last class. And, and Adam back there, class before that. So we have a new one starting today. I think it's going to be a great class. The way our class works is it runs for 4 weeks. It's quite intensive. It's all hands-on training in skills that you need in order to present yourself well and to make that successful transition. For those of you who are new, if you care to, Tom Goodwin, who's on our board and is one of our longtime supporters, mentors, and facilitators, will give you an overview of how the class works and how it runs after this session. I'll be joining him for that. And in the meantime, I'm going to turn the program over to Ken Shotman, who's our Director of Programming and Partnerships, and he will introduce today's speaker and tell you a little bit about other events coming up.
Yes, thanks, Eric. Thanks very much. So with my partnership hat on, I want to tell you quickly about 3 events that we're involved in, and the materials are out on the table. This Saturday, the Transition Network's Washington, D.C. chapter, it's a national organization. They focus primarily on the career transitions that women experience and special challenges that they may face. They're putting together a panel entitled Defining Your Own Success with, it looks like, 5 accomplished women from different professional worlds. It's Saturday the 16th from 10 to noon out in McLean, and it's $15. So that program is out there. Yesterday, we participated in an expo hosted by the Beacon newspapers. They also produced the Current newspapers. So if you see that, the Northwest Current, Yukon Current, and other things. A terrific event that was in Silver Spring. They have a related event this Sunday, coming Sunday, the 17th, out in Springfield, for anyone who's in the Virginia area. The difference being that the Sunday event coming up in Springfield has just employers. We participated as part of a community resource component that they had in Silver Spring. But next Sunday, it's a free event, noon to 4 at the Springfield Town Center. Some very significant employers that they'll have participating, including Xfinity, AARP, Care First, Holy Cross Health, and other large employing organizations. Lastly, I want to mention, you might have seen these blue flyers. Eric mentioned our monthly programs. Next month, we're going to focus the Thursday, October 12th at 7 o'clock, right here. The program will be on career happiness and the fact that that's not a myth. You can actually find career happiness. And one of our new friends, Denise Reidman, a career coach and expert in career development, is going to be sharing her experiences and how to help people maintain and sustain career happiness. So that will be Thursday, October 12th. Quick heads up, Eric mentioned we are here every Monday, including the unofficial official holiday, Columbus Day. We will be here, and I think that's like the 9th of October. So check the website for that program. All right, well, before I introduce today's speaker, we're going to have a special activity. I gave some people who were here early, they got a bit of a heads up on this, and others who might have come a couple of weeks ago. Because we want to help you know who else is in the room. Because we all know that most of our jobs or our next jobs are likely to be found through networking. And so we want to increase the value of our opportunities and our programs here at 40 Plus by giving you a way to network a little more effectively with each other. All right, so we're going to do a lightning round of introductions. We're going to go around the room as quickly as we can, and what you're going to be able to say quickly are your name, your profession, and then 3 words that describe you or what you're looking for next. Really, 3 words. Eric may have to be the enforcer on that. So everybody gets it? Name, profession, 3 words. I'll demonstrate. Ken Shopman, Association Executive, Builder, Collaborator, Servant Leader, hyphenated. Okay. Is it Netra? Oh, yes, in the front. You got to go first.
Okay. Oh, you want me to stand up?
Do I?
Okay. Netra Halprin, journalism and documentary film producer director, political, passionate, and outgoing.
All right, you bent the rules a little bit. Kate, you're up.
Hi, Kate Hagman, editor, Trust, Understanding, Clarity.
Miriam.
Miriam Rollin, nonprofit advocacy leader, and passion, policy, and making change.
I can.
I'm Mistura Mulugeta, and I'm in international development, and I am a strong leader and looking to continue my work in international development, background in environmental science and engineering. Okay.
Francine, you're a model.
Francine Tolson, independent consultant, business process management.
Perfect. Sure.
Brad Eshelman, project coordinator and aspiring potentiation. Potential, yeah, we'll do that one. And excited.
Great. Hi.
Hi, I'm Linda Marie Griffin. I'm an educational youth advocate. Passion, enthusiasm, and inspiration.
Fantastic. 3. Gina.
Hi, Gina Manley, independent consultant, events and operations guru.
Michelle Jones, sales, I would say passion, persistent, very persistent, and goal-oriented.
Right, hyphenated. Yes. Hi.
Hi, I'm Michelle Higgs, and I'm a voice talent, and I'm creative, passionate, and enterprising.
People that love it. Tracy.
I'm Tracy Shario, communication, social entrepreneur, and leader.
Fantastic. Stephanie.
I'm Stephanie Silverstein. I'm an educator, and I'm interested in engagement, membership, and education.
Great. Laura.
Laura Battles. I'm a former government employee, and I should have had my 3 words by now. Speechwriter, communicator, worker.
Fantastic. Jeff.
Hi everyone, I'm Jeff Hoffman, also an association executive, and I am business development success.
Excellent. Yes.
Hi, good morning. My name is Sylvia Lucero, and I'm in sales and marketing, and I'm an environmentalist, curious, and brand recognition.
Okay, well, I'm a happy person.
Good morning, my name is Jennifer, and I am in the field of writing, public relations, education, and create, communicate, collaborate.
Fantastic.
Good morning, my name is Tritra Mawashi-Saunders. I'm a pediatrician, author, and public health consultant. My 3 words are amazing children and producer.
Yes.
Gabriele Fasbeck, online instructor and editorial assistant, accurate, engaging, and empathetic.
See homework. You see, get her early, get all that extra time. Yes.
Justin Ledso, archaeologist, researcher, writer, analytical.
My name is Linda. I'm currently a freelancer. I've done also administrative work. 3 best words describe me: creative, responsible, and trustworthy.
Wonderful. Sir?
Russell Barnes, technician, open-minded, dedicated, loyal.
I'm Julie Jimenez. I'm a business administration professional in finance. I'm analytical, supportive, and result-oriented.
Wonderful. Sterling.
Good morning, everybody. Sterling Phillips, a mediator and attorney, great listener, conflict resolver, and
well, great, you got three.
Great listener, I wonder what I forgot.
Okay,
sure. Tom Oakley, Policy Associates Manager, and I'd say Development, Public Relations, and Outreach.
Adam Diamond, Food and Agricultural Policy, extrovert, intellectual, critical.
Wonderful. Sir, I don't know if you got this. We're doing who you are in 3 words that describe you.
Brendan Lynch, recent UMB graduate, aspiring social worker.
Fantastic. Eric, would you like to share as well?
Eric Herding, recovering corporate finance executive, organized, energetic, and dedicated. Ooh, I can't do that. And analytical.
Yes. Exclamation point. Okay. Terrific. Well, shall we? Rhonda, I want to give Rhonda a quick introduction. She's a career development facilitator who guides individuals through self-awareness so that her clients work with their personalities and strengths in order to make the largest possible impact, both in their work and in their worlds. A former Peace Corps volunteer with experience with organizations including AmeriCorps, Teach for America, and the Peace Corps. She works with individuals who want to live their passion through their careers. How many times do you do a passion in their exercise? Her organization, Be the Change Careers. She's been the president of the Maryland Career Development Association, certified as a global career development facilitator, advanced resume writer. She has a doctorate in management, master's in social work, and frequent presenter on a variety of topics, including profit and social value. So we're delighted that Ron is here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So excited to be here, and yes, I was listening to all the passion that's in here, and so what I want to start out with is kind of giving you my perspective of who I am. So thank you so much for the introduction and for bringing me here. And basically, my professional background is in the nonprofit international development world. So this is me in South Africa. And what I learned by working a lot of nonprofits is that a lot of people were there because they believed in the cause, but the actual work that they were doing was not really a good fit for them. So if they were a people person, maybe they're writing grants or working on reports. And I saw that led to a lot of burnout and a lot of bitterness and even sometimes resentment. So we all know that burnout has a really horrible impact on ourselves. But in the nonprofit world, it can also really impact the people that they wanted to help or the causes that they wanted to help. And so when I transitioned to be a career consultant about 5 years ago, my main mission, the reason why I do this work is to basically prevent burnout so that people can really make the impact that they want to make in the world. And as I was going through this, I also realized that, so I started Be the Change Career Consulting, primarily work with people in the international nonprofit fields, but it's broader than that. And by working with other types of people, I realized that the process that I had developed was applicable beyond just the nonprofit world. And so then I've created something called My Career Design Studio. So this is an online self-paced course that people can, so some of the exercises that we're going to do today, I've taken from that, but it really walks you through the process of understanding who you are, what your goals are, what kind of life you want to live, and then start translating that into job titles, and then from there to come up with a strategy that works with your strengths. So that, and the other thing that's really important is that the self-reflection, knowing who you are, what your strengths are, can also really help you in your job search. Because there's so much advice out there on how to get a job. And some of it works great for people, and so they're going out, okay, it's all about going out there and passing out your business cards and talking to everybody. Does not work well for introverts. But introverts have a different kind of talent. They tend to be much more empathetic and deep listeners, which is a great way to build relationships. So knowing who you are, knowing what your strengths are, knowing what comes natural for you can help you in your job search as well as beyond. And so we're going to just kind of do some things today, and I'm going to make this as interactive as possible. I always try to cram too much into my presentations, so we're going to, but I agree with the fact that there's a lot of connections and energies in here that I want us to get a chance to dig into a little bit deeper. So we're going to do a little bit of group work later on that allows you to get to know each other a little bit better, but also start thinking about strategies that are going to work for you. And like I said, I'm going to pack a whole lot in. I will give it time as we go through for questions. So, if you've got something, I will get to you. And so let's just start with the process of career design and what I consider career design to be. And so basically, it's starting with what kind of contribution do you want to make? So it could be something as broad as I want to be a part of ending poverty. It could be I want to make a contribution to a company that I believe in. It could be I want to earn more money, but in order to help my family, help my community. But having something that can pull you forward is an essential part of career design. It doesn't have to be super specific, but it needs to be something that gives you energy to work toward that. Also, knowing the kind of life that you want to live. Too often we focus just on the job, and we might find a job that we like, but it takes over the rest of our lives. And then family suffers, other things that are important to us suffer. So I really try to work with my clients, what kind of life do you want to live, and how does your work support that? For some people, that is work. Work is their life. That's a really good fit for them. But for some people, having something really balanced, having time for yourself, having time for your family and your community. And so knowing what you want. Again, you might not get everything, but you want to know the direction that you're moving in. And so that's also, what do you enjoy doing day to day? Like I said, the people that I've worked with in the nonprofit sector, they had that vision, but the day-to-day work was a huge mismatch. And so that's some of the things that I want you to start thinking about. What kind of work activities give you the most energy? What do you enjoy the most? And this isn't necessarily, quote unquote, your passion, like I, want to be a rock star, but it is, I would much rather work with creative projects than data collection, or vice versa. Knowing what you want and what you want to do on a day-to-day basis, that is a foundation that I want you to build, that you're building your career design on. And so you are your foundation. You're the raw materials. So the self-reflection is super important. And gaining that clarity will help you with your job search and your job. And again, letting your strengths guide you. And I have been in jobs where I was adequate in pretty much all the jobs that I was in. But there were jobs where I had to fight against myself every day in order to be adequate. And then there were jobs where what I was doing on a day-to-day basis was what I was really good at. I was much happier in the second and a lot more successful too. And so career design is also about creating a plan to get you where you want to go, but knowing that it needs to be flexible. Life happens. And so career designers are very adaptable and flexible because they know that there's more than one way to get to where they want to go. They've got that clarity. If one road doesn't take them there, they'll find another. So the metaphor that I like to use is that career design is like building a mosaic. And so, for example, let's say that you want to build a mosaic of Vincent van Gogh's Starry Night. So this is your vision. And then you take an accounting of what you have. So you've got some mosaic tiles, you've got some glass tiles and ceramics and some beads, and look, I've got some Legos, right? And so we all have all these things that we don't necessarily think are going to fit into our job or job search, but there's still parts of ourselves that we want to recognize that we can build and work with. So the first stage of career design is knowing the raw materials that you're working with, knowing yourself. The second stage is creating a napkin sketch. You know what? And so this is where you can play around with different ideas, different job titles at different companies, just to create something that you can, that's changeable, but lets you get to a stage that you're really excited about. And then from there, you start bringing in the activities of building your mosaic. And that's the networking and the figuring out what organizations you want to work for. And resume, LinkedIn profiles, all that stuff. Those are tools to build your mosaic. And so again, what starts out as, Starry Night, for you might look like this. Here's your square mosaic tiles. Or here's your glass mosaic tiles. So, it's still the same thing, but depending on who you are, it's going to look different, but still really beautiful, still a work of art. Beads. All right, you got lots of beads. You can make a mosaic out of that. And here's my favorite, made out of Legos. Yeah. And then this is also a combination of everything. And so we can bring all of who we are. And that's the goal of career design, to bring all of who we are. It might not all fit in our final work of art, our final career mosaic, but it can also be used outside of our careers. And so again, if you love music, but don't want to actually, go through the process of being a rock star, you can still play on the weekends. And you can bring your creativity in other ways. So, are there any questions about career design as a concept? Okay, great. I'm sure things will come up. So career mosaic. Wait, hold on. I'm a little all over the place here. So, what I want to get to know you in a slightly different way than the introductions we did before. And so, what I'm curious about is who here knows what they want to do next, and is pretty aligned, like their past is allowing them to do that. So just a show of hands, if you know what you want to do. Okay, great. So about a quarter of you. What about people who are changing careers? So might have some idea of what they want to do, but they know it's not what they've done in the past. And, okay, a few more. What about the people who have no idea? Yeah. Okay. So what I've created, the process of career design that I use, really walks through figuring out what you want to do, because having that clarity, you kind of need that to write your resume, right? You don't want to send out a resume that shows you as an analyst when what you're really wanting to do is social work, right? So being able to build on who you are, your past experience, your strengths to figure out what kind of job you want to do, then that makes the rest of the job search much easier. At the same time, for people who know what they want to do and are just trying to figure out how to get there, career design can help you get a little bit more clarity and understand how to communicate that. Because the clearer you are, the more that you can express that with the people that you're talking to, whether that's informational interviews, regular interviews, networking, all that kind of stuff. So I want us to walk away with stuff. So I've got a worksheet here that I'm going to pass out. And so just take one and pass it along. And so does everyone have a pen? Because again, one of my passions is neuroscience. I really love understanding why people are the way they are. And there's been a lot of research that talks about how actually writing things down helps you to remember them so much more. And so some of the things that we're going to be writing down are really important. I mean, it's your life, basically. So that's why I want you, not to necessarily take pictures, but to actually write some of this stuff down. And so what I want you to start with is basically what's your goal. What from what you know right now, what kind of job do you want next? So just write that down. So number one should be, what's your goal? Why did you come here today? I mean, here, seeing me, yes, coming to a job searching organization, what are you hoping to be able to walk away with? Okay, the next one, this might take a little bit more thought than the time that we have here, but it's to think about, how would your life change? What would your life look like once you've met your goal, right? And so some of that stuff, because job search is really hard, right? So that stress of not knowing what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis, that's going to go. Financial security, but just think about, what is that going to look like? And this is where the more rich, the more you can use your senses of, I'm going to be more energized, or, I'll finally get a chance to then remodel my house, and this is what it's going to look like. So knowing what the outcome of reaching your goal is going to look like, that's starting to draw your vision for your future, something that's compelling. And then the next one starts going a little bit deeper, starts getting a little bit more reflective. And that is, what is it in you that might keep you from reaching your goal? So again, career design is all about leveraging the tools that you have inside of you naturally. But also inside of us, we have those voices of doubt. We might not be very organized, that might get in our way. And sometimes we struggle with, sense of self-worth as we're going through this. So what is it? And again, we're not going to stop here. We're going to come back to the resistance, to what keeps you from achieving your goal. But it's good to know what that is. Identification of what can stop you is the first step in creating a strategy to move beyond that. So does anybody have any questions or is struggling with answering these questions? Okay. So let me just tell you what I want you to get out of today. And that is that you learn at least 3 new strategies or tips. Something that you either never heard about before, or that maybe you heard about, but you're like, okay, now I understand it. This is how I can use it in my life. I want you to walk away today with something that you can do today. So I'm going to, that's going to be one of the questions of what can you do today? Because, again, neuroscience says once we start down a path, once we take a moment of action, then that momentum tends to carry us forward. And so if we leave today and then just put out everything on a shelf, then that's not going to be as useful as taking a step. And then also just to ask yourself some new questions. So this is what I hope that you walk away with. And your goals might be different. I want you to fight for your goals. So if I'm not meeting your needs, then again, we can talk afterwards, or there'll be times for some question and answers. But again, I want you to start being able to implement something and asking yourself new questions today. All right. So now that we're in a reflective mood, if we continue going down this sheet of paper, the next one is just your contribution, your cause, your purpose. So this is just the broader vision for your life. And this question, some people dive right in and can give me like 10 paragraphs of what their purpose is. Other people, they're just like, please, don't make me do this. And I know, and again, we're all different. We all have different neural pathways, and we all have different personalities. There's a lot of stuff that's hardwired into us. But again, the stretch is to get you thinking, what kind of future compels you? And because one way of breaking through resistance is to understand the question why. Why am I redoing my resume for the 15th time? Because I want to do X, Y, and Z. For me, it's because I want everybody to have the tools to find work that is meaningful and fulfilling to them. That's what gets me doing social media, which I really don't enjoy, because it moves me toward my why, which is really important to me. So here's some things that your why might be. Could be your job. Could be being a good parent. Starting a business. Writing a book. Music, art, making a difference in the world, earning more money, leaving a legacy. So these are just some things, to get you going. Again, you can take this with you afterwards, but this is kind of the foundation of career design, is knowing your why. So the second thing, and this is where it's going to start getting a little bit more interactive. It's going to, again, start with some more reflection. But how many people here are familiar with Myers-Briggs? Okay, just about everybody. So this is, personality, introverted, extroverted, sensing or intuitive. And so these are your preferences. There's another aspect of human nature that doesn't get talked about a lot. And that is, how do we initiate things? How do you start projects? What's your go-to way of making, of basically starting something new? And so I call this my modes of action. This is inspired by Kathy Kolbe. She's created the Kolbe Index. So that's online if you want to take it, but this is kind of the quick and dirty. And so there are 4 different ways that most people start a new project. And so one modality is doing research. So think about, do you naturally question, research, analyze, evaluate, reality check? Do you really strive to become an expert in whatever you're doing? So if you know that you're going to do something, you're going to read the manual, you're going to go online, you're going to Google, and you're going to get as much information. That's the first thing you do. If that's how you initiate a project, then you are a researcher. Another common way that people start projects is building systems, creating those color-coded file folders. So if you are naturally drawn towards developing highly structured and sequential programs, planning things thoroughly, if that's your natural go-to, then you're a systematizer. And we can, you know, we're all on this scale, but, you know, this is a quick and dirty way. So then there's the experimenters, the people that their first instinct is let's try something new. Let's figure out what has not been done before and let's just jump in and do it. So they're the ones that start with brainstorming and with just coming up with these great ideas that no one's ever thought of before. And they tend to be a little bit more risk-taking. You know, it's just like if it's not risky, it's not worth doing. So if that's kind of your go-to way of starting something new, then you're experimenter. And then we've got the hands-on people. Like, I like to build things. And I don't tend to work with a lot of builders because they are employed in fields where, you know, it's like carpentry or home remodeling, and often they get jobs, you know, electricians. So it's the real people who are going to be very, very useful in Florida and Texas, you know. And so if you start a project by, let me build and construct a model of what this is going to look like, and then build out from there, and you're a builder. So let me ask, does anyone not resonate with one of these? Does everyone kind of see themselves in one? And again, these are all spectrums. And but what I want us to do is start thinking how our way of initiating action can serve us in our job search, right? And so, so let's just get a show of hands. How many people consider themselves to be researchers? If that's their go-to thing. Okay, this is what I was expecting. Yeah, DC, it's kind of a big research now. What about systematizers? Who are the people who like to plan? Okay, great. We've got a good group here. What about the experimenters? Just the crazy thing no one's thought about before. Excellent, great. Are there any builders in the group? Anyone who likes to work with their hands? Okay. So and again, some people are going to kind of initiate in two or more. But for this purpose, what I want us to do is to get with the, before we do that, what I want you to spend a minute thinking about is how your, so think back to your resistance. What is it inside of you that keeps you from reaching your goal? And spend a minute thinking how your mode of action can help you to overcome that. So for example, so I'm an experimenter first, researcher second, and so one of the things that keeps me from achieving my goals is I get really overwhelmed. If I have too much data coming in, I just like try to do it all and then I just collapse. So I often come up with new ways of organizing information. And so like, I'm not a systematizer. You know, I'm not someone who starts that and keeps and maintains a system, but I will create something new and to just kind of keep it going. So just spend a minute thinking about how your modes of action can help you overcome your resistance. Here's just another way of looking at the same kind of information. So this is the spectrum that we're talking about. So are there any questions about this? Now this is a lot of information, and so people who are like me who get easily overwhelmed are like, why are you showing us this? And then there's some people who really like the details, like tell me how this all works together. So is anyone struggling with trying to figure out how their mode of action can help them overcome resistance? Yeah. So so do you mind sharing with us a little bit?
Yeah, I'm a researcher, and I've spent a lot of time trying to find organizations I'd like to work for.
Yeah.
And you know, you look at anything online, you can find anybody online.
Yeah.
Where I get stuck is trying to actually connect with somebody at those places, because it can take months literally to get a meeting
Yeah.
with somebody.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I can hit brick walls on things like
Yeah.
that.
So, so part of what you're saying is that that you're moving from the research to something else, right? But at the same time, your research initiator part of yourself can also be an asset in helping you figure this piece out. So you have done a lot of research on companies, you've done research on people. So what about researching different ways to make connections? And believe, again, on Google, on a lot of job websites, there's going to be 15 different ways to connect with people. You know, LinkedIn, email, networking, you know, putting a mass email to everyone you know saying, do you know anybody who works here? And so again, like our main mode of initiating action can't take us all the way to the finish line. It just gets us started. Okay, yes.
Okay, so I am, I've been in different fields in politics and social work, and now I want to go into being a journalist, international journalist, and producing documentary films. So because of my age, because I don't have a long history, I'm not going to get hired by any of these firms. They want young girls. But for instance, I was on a TV program the other day of debating, and one of my co-panelists said, "Oh, we should start a thing, da da da," because in her mind, I was what she was looking for. Right. So I called her, and I don't know if she'll get back to me or not, or if it was just something in the moment she liked. So I'm realizing I need to actually be a startup, and so
where are you here?
Well, I figured I would research and then experiment, because it's not just researching, it's also, I mean, networking I'm seeing is like the key element here for me, is meeting the people who will have the same vision, and also because I'm very, let's get the core, let's tell the truth, let's expose these corrupt governments. That's not quite as popular in the journalistic field as.
Right, right. Okay. So again, what we're doing is we want to bring it down to here's a specific place where I'm getting stuck, and how can I use who I am naturally to help overcome that. So part of what I'm hearing from you is, so what is starting a business that does, you know, this kind of international journalism and documentary stuff? What does that look like, right? I mean, that's part of.
I mean, I've started businesses. I have businesses, but we're talking big money, and it's just it's a bigger realm than I've been in.
So can you see how, you know, doing research, you know, can help? So to find similar businesses and see how.
The Intercept, that was just started by Pierre Audemars and Greenwald, et cetera, et cetera.
So doing some research, how did they do that, right? And so again, this is just to get you forward momentum. It's not going to take you all the way to the finish line. But what I want us to do now is get with each other. So let's have everybody stand up. Here's another neuroscience tip. Sitting, not good for us for long periods of time. That's not just neuroscience, that's physical science too. And but what they have found is that by standing up, moving around, changing your posture, between 25 minutes to 60 minutes helps shift our brain out of one mode of thinking, out of focusing into integrating. And so I just want us to just, you know, see what it's like to stand up. And also, job search stuff tends to be pretty stressful, right? Just from my own experience, I'm going to make a blanket statement. Searching for jobs is really stressful. And what happens to our bodies when we get stressed is that we hunch our shoulders, we tighten our stomach muscles, we breathe in our chest, and we tense our muscles, because this is the perfect position to be in the fight or flight or freeze. So when we get stressed, our bodies are like, there's something that's going to kill us. and I've got to be ready to run or to hit them or to stay right here. And so we don't differentiate between a tiger about to eat us and us getting rejected from a job. And so we do the same thing. But that also means that if we do something different in our bodies, then our brains change. We start producing different neurochemicals. And the best way of doing that, does anybody have any ideas?
Breathe.
Breathe. Breathe from our belly. When we breathe from our chest, which almost everyone does, myself included, it keeps us in that fight or flight. So just, since we're standing here, this gives us the opportunity to be a little bit more spacious. Let's just take a couple deep breaths. So just in, and then when we exhale, let it all out. Breathe in some more fresh oxygen right into our bellies. And breathe it out completely. And this is one thing. Keep going as long as you can, because that really triggers our relaxation response. Our brains function better when we're relaxed. When we're stressed out, our prefrontal cortex, which helps us plan, which helps us be creative, it shuts down. We get into that, that fight or flight, and it is instinctual, not helpful for us in writing resumes. So I set a timer for myself. I don't sit in one place longer than 25 minutes, even if all I do is stand up and take a deep breath and then sit back down. I still do that because that's how I keep my energy going. Okay, so now that we're up and refreshed, I want the researchers were the biggest group. I want the researchers to come over here. The systematizers to come up front. And then the experimenters in the back. And if you are more than one, then just choose something that's got people in it. All right, so researchers all over here. And basically, I want us to get into groups at your time. So have we all identified the experimenters?
Yeah, I mean, I was a researcher, but I want to focus more on experimenting.
So I want us to see if there are 4 or 5, because this is way too early for us to actually have a conversation.
That's what you got.
So once you've got a group of 3, 4, 5, find a place to sit down, and then you're ready to go.
Yeah.
I think so. I really think
but I'm realizing that before I was trying to start actually what you're talking about is
Bill, I'm like, you want some person because I'm like, working with
right. Well, not feel, I do. Well, I have been taking the first step.
Well, I'm more. Sometimes
next set of instructions.
Then if it works, I'm like, okay.
All right. I am going to bring the attention back just very quickly. So basically, what the goal is this group is, first of all, to get to know a different group of people. So everyone, it sounds like, did the introductions, great. And if not, feel free to ask who each other is. But then I want you to share in your group how do you use your mode of action in your job search. So just think about You know, so again, the systematizers, you probably have some systems on how you keep track of everything. So spend, and this group might be a little bit large, so you might need to break it down because we don't have a lot of time, but it's just like spend about 1 minute per person to say, this is how I use my mode of action in my job search. And so this gives us an opportunity to see different ways that we might be able to use our strengths, our natural ways of initiating action in ways that we might not have thought about before. Any questions about the instructions? So it's basically just sharing. Now, in every group, there's always someone who really gives a very long explanation. So, so we want to keep, have a timekeeper, have someone who is comfortable saying, all right, it's time to move on. And so I'm going to give you, not everyone's going to be able to share, but because of our time constraints, I'm going to give us about 5 or 6 minutes.
And you're basing that
I'll give us a 1 minute warning.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'm not going to
So, Hannah, were you in the machine? Yes. I gotta make sure my heart is right side.
Anybody? I mean, for me, experimenting is like you just all around here. I need to get out there. And like I said, it's an issue every day. She said, you are awesome. I want to support you. But it falls through or not, who knows? But it's like, okay, at least one person said that. And then I just get myself so that it's out there so more people see me and somebody wants to support. So I have someone to will that. Yeah, I also taught
I'm not looking sorry. So that's kind of
what are you going to do when you grow up, right?
Resume writing. What's your end goal?
went to a customer, I had to meet their needs, fix their product, but also know what I can do better so the product lasts for a bit longer. So I always had to experiment and try different techniques out each time I would go. That's why I put myself in their middle size, because it allows me to test the risk, ask the questions, get different insights, because the more you know your customer,
That's why I'm going to go last. I don't think that's
if you're in this process, you always find this we bring more and also what we do is alienate because we have to use a lot of things and that scares about in this country. Do this 9 to 5 and don't do anything else. If you're in this group, so that word experiment is an experiment. We're creative entities. Creative don't need to really are. I'm validating my PR. If you go back to what you said, what for not
But even then, even you in the creative field, you're struggling because you need resources. And the resources come from limitations. Because if I'm gonna give you money, I want you to do it. Right. And but I'm just saying, creativity in this country is always important. It's not really just you know, if you really, let's say it's not appreciated, it's not validated. Because validated is appreciated. You have a corporate world validated. And that's the tendency when you come from the corporate world is validated. But see, that's separate, but it's not validated. But you can use validated and you automatically are giving yourself because if I'm not validated, that's not what it is. It's appreciated. I'm all right with you not appreciating, but I'm all right with you not validating. Everybody wants to do that. But appreciating is okay. It's okay. But the word is you know, that gives you the thrill to come up with a new whatever you
We've got about a minute left. 1 minute Yes.
So, typically, recently, we're out of private sector and
All right, I'm going to ask you to wind things up and just slowly turn around and come to the front. Very excited. Alright, so time to wrap things up.
The ideal is they was very research. Philanthropy.com.
Alright, bring everybody's attention back to the front. Alright, it's all the, so I heard back here some really interesting conversations about experimenter does not capture who we are. I love it, right? You gotta be novel. You gotta be creative.
We're the outliers.
Yeah,
we're comfortable with that.
Yeah. So basically, you know, so multiple goals here. One is, you know, to exchange ideas about that can serve you, and also what I heard that was super exciting for me is people started realizing what kind of strength they had with this mode of action. Like, wow, we can do a lot with this, and so again, this is what I want us to be able to bring forward, not only in our job search, but in our careers and in our lives, is this is where we provide value. It's where we provide value to ourselves, to our families, to our organizations. The more you know what your strengths are, the more you're going to be able to communicate that. So, if any group is interested in volunteering of like just one strategy or one idea or Because also, even though we might initiate out of one area, we're on the spectrum for others. And so learning how other people might approach a problem or approach a project is really useful. So, so we're gonna just take about 1 or 2 minutes and just, if anyone had that light bulb moment that they want to share with the group, let's hear it. Friends, okay, so we got it. Okay, Francine, go ahead.
So we were trying to identify other people to network with in a particular area, and my suggestion was meetup groups. I mean, just you need to find your birds of a feather, and meetup groups and they can be professional as well as educational, and it's a great opportunity to meet other people and network with in your area of interest or passion.
Excellent. So hand back here.
Yeah, we kind of concluded amongst us that, or conferred with each other, agreed with each other that job boards are not the end-all be-all. And though we're researchers, that's where we dig in a lot.
Right.
But that getting out and networking and meeting people is strategy.
Yeah, and there's so much information that aren't on job boards. And there's interesting ways of using job boards, too. Like you can find organizations by looking at job boards and see who's hiring. So again, that research instinct, we just need to put you in a different lane and say go.
Can I add 2 more things that job boards do?
Yeah.
They give you current job titles.
Yeah.
Because job titles have changed. It used to be HR director, now it's human resource management or whatever. They also give you what companies are expecting for different positions in terms of experience and certification.
Right.
Those are very useful too.
Keywords.
And keywords. How do I match? Where do I fall when competing for this kind of job?
So if we use job boards just to find jobs, then that really limits us. In fact, I'm sure this has been said, and that you've heard it, that applying for jobs on job boards is the least effective way of getting a job. It simply is. And it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. It does. I've gotten hired through a job board before, but the majority of the jobs that I've had in my life, I got through my network. And the majority of people here who have gotten jobs have gotten at least one job through their network. And what career design allows you to do is leverage your network more effectively because you know what you want to do and you know the value that you bring. So anything else, any other strategies that people want to share? Yeah.
I think one thing that resonated with all of us is that in this day and age where people are so busy, that we put self-imposed limitations on our networking of, oh, I don't want to bother this person, or not being as assertively out there as we all could be.
Yeah. So there's so many ways that we keep ourselves from doing what we want to do. So many ways. And so as we can learn how to use our strengths to get over them, that is super useful. And not only use our strengths, use each other, right? And so one of the things that, before we go, I hope that, everyone shares at least name and contact information with somebody in their group or somebody here to be a resource for each other. So I saw your hand. I want to go back here because this group has. Did you have something you want to say?
Oh, okay. Well, one of the keywords that we came up with is, even though experimental or experiment was the name of our mode of being, we actually decided that it was that we were creative.
Yeah.
We were able to flex and move and step outside of the box and use the world as it comes to us and not as they make us use it. And, as I was listening to this woman, it's like I've had any number of conversations just with people in different places, meetups, lunch, next to me on the train, and you start learning about, things that are going on, and it sparks ideas, and that's the way that we have been.
And the job market is actually very limited for us because most places don't want creative people. They want you to do things the way they do. And we get burned out because we can't do it that way all the time. So entrepreneurship is really the way. But another thing that I didn't tell the group, which is another area where flexibility and creativity is
really needed in this country is in disaster work. People who do the best disaster work are people who can be flexible. Not people who really learn the system, because you have to be able to spin on a dime because of the way things could happen. And you can imagine in Florida, a lot of the men who do this work thought it was going to go up the East Coast. How do you control Mother Nature? You don't. You know that as a woman. Sorry. You know, anything can happen. So we as a group have to realize that we have a value, and we need to acknowledge that. And when we get turned down, it's probably not the best place for us.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
And this is fabulous, you know, because again, some of us fit comfortably in boxes. That's great.
Yes.
You know, there's boxes to be fit into. Please fit in those boxes. And then there's some people who don't. And I think the challenge is that the people who don't fit in boxes have been told fit in this box. And so that not only limits and hurts us, but it also, you know, here's my idealistic side saying, it deprives the world of what the creatives have to offer, what the researchers have to offer, what the builders, systematizers have to offer. If you are doing stuff that you don't naturally glow in, then you aren't able to bring your best self. And so the world gets deprived when we fight against who we are. And it doesn't mean that we're going to be in a job where we're nothing but creative, right? I mean, you got to implement, you got to systematize, you got to research this stuff. But you got to do some of that. That's got to be a part of your life somehow. And so again, this is a way for you to start thinking and asking different questions. What can I do differently that builds on what I do naturally to get me to the goal that's important for me?
And then the other thing is, a lot of the employers are, when you go to interviews, they're hiring people so much younger than you are.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I went to interviews and I had all this experience, but then they go and hire somebody 22 years old.
Yeah.
25 years old.
And I mean, in you know, international development, because we talked about that, you know, they're very budget constrained, even more so now. So they are going to go for, you know, the cheapest that they can find that can do the job theoretically. There are other avenues where experience is a real asset, and so again, there's reality. There's things that we're going to have to recognize. This isn't a limitation. This is an obstacle. This career design is not about getting rid of obstacles. It is finding ways around, over, under, through, using who we are to do that.
May I just add something? You're addressing vitamin A, which is attitude. And I work for an organization that changed the way I answer the phone. And what I found during my career transition is that attitude is everything, and you can talk to yourself, I'm getting out of bed in the morning. And I had the experience of talking to two different career coaches, and one of them, they gave me the same advice, but the one guy made me feel like to take on the world, and the other guy made me feel like, you know, going out and jumping in the Potomac. And it does matter how you talk to yourself, it does matter how you talk to other people. And I have been to a job networking group where it was, you know, it was like a little black rain cloud was right over us, like, oh, there are no jobs in this field, oh. And it makes all the difference in the world how I answer the phone, how I address somebody, and what I tell myself about, you know, getting out of bed in the morning.
I think that's fabulous. And, you know, one of the things, because I work with a lot of people who, you know, have really big visions for themselves and are struggling with how to get there. And basically, in the field that I mostly coach in, a lot of it's perseverance. Like, you just have to keep going and keep going and keep going, find another way, find another way. And the job search process is not about finding the most efficient way to get a job. It is about managing yourself. It is about finding ways to keep yourself motivated when things are tough, because they're going to be tough. And so really a lot of career design, how I conceptualize it, is about how do you keep going, and using your strength is so much more effective than using your weaknesses. Yeah, go ahead.
The only thing I want to share is that somebody once said this to me when I was working on my career, and it's really helped me, is that don't substitute action for progress. I can sit there all day long and be busy, 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 read, oh yeah, and at the end of the day, I thought, oh, look what I've done. Nothing.
Yeah, I mean, I really do believe that, and of course since I developed it, I believe that it's effective, but that, this process of knowing yourself, creating the general napkin sketch of what you want to do, taking steps to build your network, do your research, that all of these things that I work with my clients to do, I do think that it's one of the most effective ways to get a job. At the same time, not everybody gets a job in the time frame. Nobody gets a job in the time frame that they want. And very few people get a job in the time frame that they expect, right? And that is, again, the nature of reality. If you're really clear about what you want to do, sometimes it takes time. And so the goal is not necessarily like I'm doing something wrong, this is too hard, I need to just go back to what I know, which is being miserable in a field that I don't love. It is, all right, how can I use the tools that I have? My network, my inner resources to keep going. All right. So we've got a little bit more content here. So, so thank you guys. This was super useful. Hopefully, I thought it was.
Where do you live?
Okay. Thank you. Anybody grab? I don't have a card, but I'll see. I thought it said meditation group. I got it. Wow, a meditation group. I like that. Can I get one of your grabs?
You're going to read this meeting if everyone can take their seats again, please.
So one thing, why I really wanted to focus on modes of action, how we initiate, is because this is not generally how we think of ourselves. So this is a new idea. I wanted us to kind of steep in it a little bit, understand, the difference between researching systematizing and all that kind of stuff. But no one label talks about who we are. And we are all very complex creatures, which is one of the reasons why self-reflection, I feel, is one of the most valuable things a job seeker can do, is to just understand who they are so that they've got lots of different strategies. So we talked about modes of action, which is, pretty kind of obscure. But then there's also something that just about everybody knows, right? Introvert, extrovert. Are you life of the party? Are you a recluse? And the reason why I think talking about this is useful, number one, is that introversion and extroversion, and the new category, the ambiversion, people who can kind of go in between both categories, has roots in neuroscience. There's just different hardwiring. We get different stimulus gets different kinds of reactions. So introverts actually tend to be very reactive to external stimulus. And we need time to kind of take that in and process it. Extroverts, they don't have, so they need more external stimulus to get them going on the inside to kind of create thoughts. So that's the neuroscience, and very poorly explained neuroscience of the difference between introversion and extroversion. And basically, there are, we talked about in this group how networking is super important in getting a job. Introverts and extroverts are going to network differently. There's tons of advice how to network, and that is going to be useful to some people, and it's not going to be useful to others. So, so what I'm going to do is just basically talk about some of the different activities that I do with some of my clients, and just to kind of give you a taste of what you can go, because none of this stuff is rocket science. I just kind of package it in a different way, line it up in a different way. But again, knowing that, that building community, because I hate the word networking, I think just, if you take the syllables apart, net and work, it is one of the most entrapping, frustrating things you can think about. So I refer to it as building community. These are the people, these are your people, like go to meetup groups and do the things that you enjoy. They have connections. And so the more you can build community, the easier you make your job search be. And so extroverts tend to be able to go into rooms of strangers with ease and talk to people. Introverts tend to build deeper relationships and do much better one-on-one. Often introverts do much better writing, and so do some really good emails to people that you don't know rather than call them up on the phone or go to an event. So so yeah, if we had more time, we would have kind of a back and forth. What do introverts do? What do extroverts do? This is something that, again, we can talk to each other afterwards. We can think about this ourselves. In fact, during our introductions at the beginning, some people are like, "Yep, I'm an extrovert." So, so if you're another extrovert, you might want to talk to them about how do they do stuff. You can also, introverts tend to also be very to the point when they say things. So the people who gave 3 words and no more, most likely, not necessarily, most likely an introvert. But again, these are just aspects of who you are and how to utilize them in your job search. So another exercise that we've got on the back is thinking about your ideal day. So, so this is, this is something that I could, have us do like this visioning exercise, take some deep breaths, and imagine that you're waking up early and energized in the morning, excited about your day. You've got your dream job. What time do you wake up? What do you do in the morning? How long is your commute? What does your day look like? What do your coworkers look like? What time do you start work? What time do you end work? What do you do after work? So just kind of what does your ideal day look like? And this, again, is part of creating a future vision for yourself that can help you see what's important. So for example, if you're applying for a job and they're paying, you're not able to bump them up with salary, but if you know that ideally you want to start work at 9 a.m., negotiate for that. I don't want to be here at 8 with everybody, for me to take this job. That's an easy yes for them to say. And so for you to think through, what does your ideal work day look like? It gives you something to build towards. It can also give you some leverage with negotiations, things like that. So the other thing that's useful about doing an ideal day exercise, and I encourage you to do this, because it can also help you structure your job search day. Because that's one of the challenges. If you don't have a job and all you're doing is job search, you feel like you need to be working all the time and you resist working all the time. So use your ideal day to help structure that. Make sure, don't just jump into the computer. Spend your morning doing the things that would get you ready for a typical working day. So again, these are things in yourself that can help you, go towards the future where you're going to make the biggest impact, and also help you right now as you try to negotiate some of the challenges looking for work. A couple other visioning exercises. 9 lives, which is if you had 9 lives and 1 job for each life, what would that be? That helps you think through what are the things that are most important to you? What are the things, the childhood dreams? And then my balanced life, that's just a way of thinking about how many hours a day should you be sleeping? How many people really think about that? They just sleep whenever they can fit it in. You can start with that. How much time you want to spend exercising, being with friends and family versus working. So all of these, and my timeline, again, is an exercise to just kind of think through the future. What do you want to accomplish before you retire? What do you want to accomplish after retirement? So these are all different exercises in my career design studio. And there's a lot more in there as well. But these are the things that I find to be the most useful for understanding yourself. Okay. So I think the one thing that, before I open it up to questions and answers, is for you to just think, what is the one thing that you can do today with either what you learned or what you know you need to do, to help your job search? And that is at the very end on page 2. It says, plan one thing I can do today. So just take 10, take a minute and just one thing that you can do today, and then open for Q&A. Any questions? Yeah. Oh, you had that. You have a question like to you.
Oh no, I just was thinking one thing I could do today was gather information from my group members so that we're in a job.
Yay! Yeah, that could be everybody's do today. And it could, or even just as easy. Get the information of one person.
I want to speak to the comment about progress and action. This period of unemployment was sort of unexpected for me, and regardless, my thought was, I don't want to look back on this experience, this opportunity, this making space, this time, and don't know what I did with it. Mm-hmm. So you said about introverts. I'm an introvert who looks like an introvert. Yeah. I'm actually very introspective. Mm-hmm. And so I write a log, and I know a coach was trying to get me to write a log on how I feel. I don't even want to think about how I feel. My feelings are all over the place, and I don't want to think about that. I'm a systematizer. I was in a systematized group, and I'd rather think about pragmatic things like being at this workshop, or going to a job fair, or something, or I had a lunch meeting last Saturday with a contact, so that was networking. And I write that in my daily log so I can say, last week, what did I do toward my goals of this new career change? I did this. I was, at the beginning, I was very desperately afraid of looking back on this time and not knowing how I spent it. So to me, action and progress, the progress is relative toward what your goal is. My goal is, at the start, I was very intimidated by social media. So I started going to lots of workshops that talked about social media to sort of, sort it all out. So now I'm at the point where tomorrow, hopefully my profile will go up. And that was a point of resistance where I didn't like the idea of being so exposed. to knowledge and understanding of this is how things are done nowadays, and I must do this to be competitive, to I got a photograph, and Ken helped me with a little bit of the resume, so now I am so much closer to a profile. So I don't see, you know, when you say action and progress, I'm taking many actions, and there is a progression, because at the point I resigned, I wasn't working and I hadn't gone to any workshops. And now at this point, a year later, I am closer to being on the other side of that change through social media, whatever avenues I need to do that. So I try to look at everything as progress, because if it's something different than you did yesterday, then you move forward.
Yeah, and this is just a really great way to show like what, you know, you found something that worked for you, and you can't make progress without action. You know, I think that the comment was there's a lot of actions that help you feel great about yourself, but aren't moving you towards your goal. What I'm hearing you say is, yeah, you're doing lots of actions, and they're all moving you towards your goal.
I think so.
Yay. So I know that we need to turn things over. I do want to say on the back there is my website for BeTheChangeCareers.com. If you go there, if you're interested, I do provide a 30-minute free consultation. So if you want to talk to me about anything that came up for you during this time, or seeing if working with a coach is useful for you, you can sign up on my website. And also my career design studio is the public version is going to be launching within a month. And so if doing an online computer-based program, if you think that would be useful for you, go there. You can sign up for that too. You'll get an email when it's ready to go. So it's been a delight.
Thank you very much. We really value and need your feedback. So if a lot of you have these on your form right now, so I made some more. If you need a quick evaluation form, please pass those around if you need them. Thank you all for coming.